Nobody saw this coming. Yuki Tsunoda's qualifying performance in Japan left fans stunned. What was expected to be a strong home run ended in frustration, with a Q2 exit that raised more questions than answers. In a weekend where expectations were sky-high, Yuki found himself trailing behind not just Max Verstappen, but every other Red Bull-linked driver. And it wasn't just about lap times. Even the car he was driving looked noticeably different from Max's. The issue seems to go far beyond one bad lap. Red Bull is clearly having a tough time pairing the RB21 with a driver who can bring out its best, and this mismatch is starting to show. While Tsunoda was tipped to perform well on home soil, especially after staying within 0.3 of Verstappen during earlier runs, one poor lap turned things around. And what makes it worse is how that lap unfolded. Before it even began, the car looked unstable. A few shaky moments on the outlap, some early understeer, and just like that, the momentum was gone. According to Tsunoda, the biggest problem wasn't just the setup. It was how the tires behaved before his push lap. He said that while Q1 felt decent, he couldn't nail the correct temperature window for the tires in Q2. And when it comes to cars like the RB21, that margin is razor thin. Everything, from tire warm-up to car balance, needs to be almost perfect. And in Yuki's case, it wasn't. He admitted that during his second run in Q2, the tires just weren't ready in the way he needed. It was a small issue, but one that made a huge impact. By the time he realized what went wrong, it was already too late to fix it. That one shot he had? It didn't land. And in qualifying, there's no second chance. To make matters tougher, a red flag interruption during the session only added pressure. For a driver who had just started to get comfortable with the car, that kind of disruption can throw everything off balance. Tsunoda ended up being the last of all Red Bull-backed drivers. And that, in front of a home crowd, is a hard pill to swallow. But there's more to the story than just tire trouble. A closer look at Tsunoda's car revealed something interesting. His RB21 was running with a noticeably heavier rear wing. That means more downforce, which makes the car more stable but slows it down on straights. Red Bull opted for this configuration to give Yuki a safer, more manageable car. In theory, it should have helped. In reality, it backfired. This cautious setup might have given him predictability, but it also limited how hard he could push. While Verstappen's car looked sharp and aggressive, Tsunoda was left with something that simply couldn't match that level of raw speed. And it showed. Christian Horner hinted that they were trying to avoid taking big risks with Yuki, especially after seeing how difficult it can be to get comfortable in this car. Meanwhile, Liam Lawson, who was put in a more basic setup with the Racing Bulls, had a smoother time adjusting. It's a clear contrast that puts Red Bull's current driver strategy under the microscope. Ted Kravitz, during the broadcast, pointed out the clear difference in downforce between the two Red Bull cars. Yuki's rear wing had a noticeably steeper angle, which he described as a move towards stability rather than outright speed. Verstappen's, on the other hand, was built for aggression, flatter, lighter, and designed to cut through the air. This was no accident. The team seemed to believe that Tsunoda needed a more forgiving car, even if it meant giving up lap time. But that compromise came at a cost. With the RB21 already being a tricky machine to handle, taking away its sharp edge made it even harder to extract performance when it mattered most. All of this points to a team still trying to figure out how to make the car work for someone who isn't named Max. And for Tsunoda, who came into the weekend aiming to stand on the podium, something no Japanese driver has done since Kamui Kobayashi in 2012. It's a crushing setback. Rain might level the field on race day, but relying on weather isn't a strategy you want to depend on. Beyond the track issues, there's another layer of pressure building behind the scenes. Tsunoda's position within the team is no longer as secure as it once seemed. While the team publicly claimed they'd treat him differently than Liam Lawson, it's clear that expectations are sky high. In fact, Helmut Marko recently admitted that Red Bull only has 5 races left to bring in meaningful upgrades before McLaren pulls too far ahead. And that's exactly why Tsunoda was brought in. Not just to race, but to collect as much technical feedback as possible. Red Bull is in a development race now, and they need someone who understands the car and can help shape its progress. That's where Yuki's experience comes into play. As Marco explained, the team needed someone who could contribute from the start, not a rookie who would take half a season just to settle in. So the decision was made quickly. Get Yuki in, let him gather data, and push the RB21 forward. It was a gamble, and now everyone is watching to see whether it pays off. Meanwhile, over at the Racing Bulls garage, Liam Lawson was quietly making a statement of his own. For the first time, he made it through Q1, and did it with a car that doesn't have the reputation or resources of the main Red Bull squad. What stood out was just how comfortable he looked behind the wheel. Lawson didn't just survive the session, he looked like he belonged. The reason behind that? Simplicity. The V-Carb Z02, the car Lawson is driving, has a broader performance window. That means it's easier to set up, more predictable across different conditions, and gives the driver more flexibility. It's not about raw speed. It's about a machine that lets the driver feel confident, and Lawson clearly feels right at home. He even commented on how the car responds: quick, balanced, and exciting, especially with the recent track resurfacing at Suzuka. That first sector? It's faster than ever, and Lawson described it as something that physically throws your head back into the seat. And when a driver feels that connected to the car, results tend to follow. The spotlight now turns to whether Tsunoda can turn things around in time, and more importantly, whether Red Bull's management is still fully behind him. If we rewind back to Saturday's qualifying, it's clear things didn't unfold the way he needed. A few small mistakes turned into a big problem, and when the margins are this fine, that's all it takes to start slipping down the pecking order. The real concern? Red Bull might be building cars that only one man can truly handle: Max Verstappen. While Max is able to squeeze out every last drop of performance, others seem to struggle just to keep up. If that's the case, then, no matter how much Tsunoda tries to adapt, the odds are stacked against him from the start. This brings us back to Lawson. Many fans are calling for him to be given a proper shot at the main team again, especially after his solid performance under pressure. But history tells a different story. Drivers like Pierre Gasly and Alex Albon couldn't make their way back once they were moved out. Red Bull rarely offers second chances, and when they do, the door closes quickly. For Lawson, it's clear he understands the fleeting nature of opportunities in Formula One. Reflecting on his own journey, he said, "A year ago I had no seat. I was watching, wishing I could be racing." It's a reminder of how quickly things can change in this sport. Now Lawson is focused on proving he belongs. Not just with Red Bull, but in F1 as a whole. If a return to the top team happens down the line, it'll be because of his performance, not just due to his past with them. The question now is whether Tsunoda still has time to show his worth. Red Bull's patience is notoriously thin when it comes to results, and after this weekend, they'll be expecting a lot more. If the car isn't perfect for Yuki, the blame might fall on him, especially when he's surrounded by drivers like Max and Liam, who seem to be adapting quicker. With the pressure mounting, it's becoming clear that Yuki's seat may not be as secure as he once thought. One thing's for sure: this season is shaping up to be a make-or-break moment for him. As the season progresses, all eyes will be on Tsunoda to see if he can recover from the setbacks and prove he's the right choice for Red Bull. With Red Bull's limited time to bring upgrades and the growing competition from teams like McLaren, every race matters more than ever. The pressure on Tsunoda is immense, but this is Formula One. And in this sport, nothing is certain until the checkered flag falls. Will Tsunoda rise to the occasion and show he can handle the pressure? Or will the mounting challenges push him further down the pecking order? Only time will tell. One thing is clear. The next few races will be crucial, not just for Tsunoda's future, but for Red Bull's ability to keep up in the championship fight.